All right. Thank you for joining us today on Hot Mess Millennials. We're going to be talking about the Netflix show Beef, starring Ali Wong and Stephen Young. And we'll also be talking about motherhood and mental health. So you don't want to miss out on this one. Right, Bougie? Right. Today we are truly living up to our name, Hot Mess Millennials. We're going to be talking about a little bit of pop culture and then mental health and how that plays with motherhood. So I guess we'll start off. If you haven't already, you need to check Beef on Netflix. It has my girl, Ali Wong. If you don't know who Ali Wong is, you're clearly living under a rock. She has so many specials on Netflix. She's a comedian. Let me start there. She is hilarious. Yeah. Yes, she is hilarious. And you guys, sorry, I am remote this week, but we're still going to give you the content that you've learned to love. Okay. All right. So go ahead, Keisha. You tell me what you think about. I wish we knew a little more like the other actors, but I just know Ali Wong and the guy from The Walking Dead.
Okay. So, Ali Wong really is the character that matters. But
100%.
I was like, we should have known this beforehand. But no, it's Ali Wong and Stephen Yun. Stephen Yun, like young, but without the P. No, honestly, like Shani and I have been just talking about how we just love that show Beef, that Ali Wong. Was she the creator as well? No, she wasn't. I think she was the executive
It wouldn't surprise
producer.
me.
She was the executive producer. But I believe it was like Hikari that was the creator, I believe. But either way, like I literally watched that show I think about 3 times. It was so profound to me. I felt like just seeing this unbridled rage from this woman that was so repressed. You know, Ali Wong's character. She's like this plant business owner. Like her business is like a plant business. And mind you, if you don't want spoilers, just fast forward past this point.
But literally a plant, like she's not growing weed or anything.
No,
she's like a botanist. She's
right.
A botanist.
Right. And she sells her company for what, 15 million? And basically the show is just around this one incident that she has with Stephen Yun's character, 2 opposite characters completely. You know, she's affluent, he's kind of struggling to make it, and they have like this road rage moment that like causes this ripple effect in their lives that leads them to like their family's like destruction, like it's chaos. And I just like the thing that stood out to me, honestly, like if you haven't seen it, please watch it. We won't get into it too much, but again, like if you don't want any spoilers or any unwanted information, just fast forward past this part. But what stuck out to me was just the rage, like the rage that like existed in these people. And I think more so within Ali Wong, just as this, you know, woman that's doing so well. She has this husband that, you know, is nice and he's there for her, but, you know, he's a little soft and, you know, she maybe not as dominant as she needs. But she also has this daughter and, you know, if you were looking from the outside looking in, you would think that she had the perfect life. But there was just so much repressed, just, you know, there was just so much repressed emotion that she just never knew how to express. And I remember one thing that stood out to me was the fact that she thought that having a child would bring about this, you know, unconditional love that she'd been searching for from her parents and you know, from maybe
her husband
she's been with. Yeah, her husband, whomever else.
Career.
And she had to learn that lesson that their love can be somewhat conditional as well. But it's a great show. What did you think, Shawnee? What stood out to you?
Just the fact that both of them allowed each other to tap into that rage. Like when you see the scenes, you're just like, wow, that was such a petty moment that, like you said, literally like collapsed their entire life.
Right.
You're like that one thing. But I liked it. I really, really liked it. You got to see the balance that Allie's character did have. Like she was really trying to get her family to a place where, you know, they're coasting, they're good, so that she could spend time with her daughter.
Yeah.
But you get to see all that unravel and see how, you know, it plays out at the end. And to me, I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm doing that at this very moment, you know, not having road rage with people, but I'm definitely like just trying to get to that point where I can coast. And today I kind of had a moment of reflection because I was like, shoot, I have been so blessed with the job that I currently have because my mom came in this week. I took some time to spend with her, was able to go have lunch with my son. And then today he had a Cinco de Mayo performance that I just found out about yesterday. I go into work today and I'm like, hey, I got to leave at 9:00. Mind you, I start working at 8, and then I was gone from 9 to 11, 9 to 11 at my baby's performance. I'm like, I would like to get to the point where I just don't have to physically be working or at my job. You know, it's just residual, but I'm kind of there. So I shared that experience or that emotion with Allie that you're just like, if only I just get there, everything will be you know, okay, but we don't stop and appreciate where you're at right now. And I think that's what fucked up her character.
Yeah.
She didn't appreciate where she currently was. Because she was advanced.
Yeah.
And that just reminded me today that I was like, you know what? This is an answered prayer. One of my major things, I know from our last episode, it seems like I just really don't want to be a mom, but
I don't think that's what it seemed like.
But from one of my major things was that I never wanted to miss any moments when it came to like his school. So every performance, I try to be there. Like that's what I'm going to do at work. I will stay later, and that's what I was doing. That's why we had to record a little later. But I'll stay later as long as I can go see whatever the hell my baby is doing.
Right.
So,
right.
That was my take from that. That was a long, elaborate explanation. But that was my take from.
That was a good take. And I know that we're moseying. I know that, like Shawnee said, that we're going to be moseying into talking about motherhood and mental health and such. But just one more thing from Beef, unrelated to anything mother related. The fact that this woman was and her name was Amy, I believe that was the character's name, Ali Wong's character. The fact that she was so petty that she catfished Danny's brother and truly had sex with that man. Spoiler alert.
Man,
we'll put something up before I say that. But like, I cannot believe that it went that far. Like, girl, you really did all that? You didn't even like him like that.
And I feel like that's why that character resonated with me because she was both of them
unhinged,
were freaking petty. Okay, like for no reason. Also, the male character, what he does when he goes to her house, you're just like, dog, really? The level of pettiness, all-time high, and I was there for it. That's really what captured me.
Okay,
that's what intrigued me,
girl. But if you haven't seen it, I mean, you sat through them spoilers. Watch it. There's a lot that goes down. We didn't cover half of it. So you're good. Yeah. Watch it. We're going to talk about motherhood. I know we talked about it a little bit last week. And I think it was a good discussion. But this week, I know that because Mother's Day is coming up, we wanted, and also what's today's month?
This month is mental health awareness.
Yeah. Yeah. That I think that we saw that there were a lot of parallels and, correlations between being a mother and mental health. But
and you know what's wild, Keisha?
Yeah.
This week I was, scrolling through the Gram and I came across this video or this reel, and this lady was asking, I can't remember if she asked a male or a female, but anyway, she asked a human being, when you think about postpartum, what is your thought of how long that is? What's your thought? This is like a doctor. So how long do you think postpartum lasts? I'm
not going to hold you. I think that the effects of postpartum could last like for a lifetime. I feel.
Okay. Interesting that you say that. So, clinically, when people think about that, typically it's like 6 weeks that, you're supposedly cleared to get it on. And then you think like 2 years. This woman said that it can last up to or beyond 7 years So technically, I'm still in postpartum mode.
Well, you don't know that. It could. It doesn't mean that it is. Do you feel like it is?
Like 7. I don't know. I need to like dig deeper into that, but that blew my mind. 7 years.
Oh man.
7.
Honestly,
Liam is 7.
there are people, and I thought, and honestly, like, I don't find that hard to believe at all. It sounds exhausting, but it doesn't seem hard to believe. There are people that I see where they handled their children. Mind you, there's always different reasons. Like there could be some trauma surrounding the child that has nothing to do with the chemical imbalance of postpartum. Mm-hmm. But I see like the strange effects of postpartum. Almost, it looks like be in effect forever. Like there's always some weird like tension between the child and the parent. So maybe that's not postpartum. Yeah. It's other things that happen throughout, you know, the years. But I always thought like it was possible for you to just feel that forever. But 7 years.
No, I did not think that. But that 7 years. I saved it. I'm going to send it to you. But I was just like, wow. Because I'll be honest, I feel like now I'm able to like regulate better. Because like I mentioned in the last episode, I don't remember the first 3 years of motherhood. I do not. I have little bits and pieces, but if you were to tell me, hey, write out the first 3 years, you're getting a summary because I don't have every freaking detail. And I was speaking to someone this week and she was like, it's so funny that you say that because my sister doesn't remember the early stages of her daughter's life. And I was like, wow, so I'm not the only person. I don't feel as bad. No. But that definitely affects your mental health, like especially if you already have like previously had mental health issues. That's definitely, it just exacerbates it, I believe.
Right.
Well, it has to.
And I've seen people that
it just has to.
I've seen people that have, you know, are self-proclaimed like they have no mental health issues that suddenly turn up with postpartum. And totally have to embrace it and own it. And they're like, I've never felt these feelings before ever in my life. And it's like, first of all, how does it feel to be God's favorite? Like no mental health issues like before this, but also like just the way that it knocks you on your, like it just knocks you off your feet. Like it knocks what is it? The winds from your sails? I don't know. I be trying to say stuff. Y'all know me. But something like that, yeah, like it's to me, it's crazy just to think of like what even happens. Like, how do the hormones get to that place where they recognize the baby and you recognize your baby? Yes. You're like, I don't want to be around you right now. Like, I don't want to be around you in general. I have an aversion to you for some reason.
It's funny you mentioned that as well. So when Liam was first born, I was scared. He was a C-section baby. I was scared and exhausted. Ooh. So, you know, typically when C-section babies are born, they lift them up and then they put them on the mom's chest. I was adamant. I was like, do not put him on my chest. Don't. I was like, nah, I'm good. So they didn't. I didn't meet Liam till 12 hours after I had given birth.
Did you feel, I mean, first of all, I've never had a C-section. So I heard that the sensations are terrifying in itself.
I feel more people should talk about C-sections because I went in there not knowing what to expect. I was already scared because I was a first-time mom. And I was just like, what is happening? And then on top of that, I could only have my partner at the time. I couldn't have my mom. And I was like...
You know how she feel about that?
Yeah, so many rapid changes at one time. I was going through it. So first off, the room is extremely cold. I remember I was just chattering. My teeth were chattering. And they put warm blankets on me. Second thing, you're like this, Jesus style, okay? Just like
about
this.
The legs.
And then you have... The legs, yeah, they're also like that. So they have this curtain over you, and then your arms are just out here, and they have the tubes going down there, and your anesthesiologist is over here, and then your partner is like over here. And they're just chit-chatting it while you're still conscious. You can't feel anything. I slightly felt a lot of pressure when they first went in, but then I told the person, and he did all that. But yeah, they're just chit-chatting it up. as they're, moving your organs, and you're just like, oh, okay, what's happening?
Shawnee.
I guess I'm becoming a mom right now. And the whole procedure probably takes 30 minutes, but I swear it took like an hour.
I have seen.
And that's from cutting to sewing.
Girl, honestly, how long were you in labor? Do you remember?
I went in on a Wednesday. Liam was born on a Saturday.
Oh my God.
I got my epidural. Liam was born at 10 p.m. Friday. I got my epidural. So that was a little traumatic for me. Birthing
awful.
was traumatic.
So I've recently been, cause I fear C-sections, like nobody's business. Just, I've never had surgery in general before. So okay. I'm like, the thought of that being something that happens to me is terrifying. Mm-hmm. But I've heard that there's this period when they're sewing you back together, and perhaps the needle goes through a muscle and it causes you to just spasm. There's like a nerve reaction. Do you recall that? I mean, it all happened.
I can't remember.
Fast. Okay.
Yeah, it really did. And even to this day now, like there's a section of my tummy. There's a section of my tummy that I cannot feel. There's no sensation.
Well, I don't want that to happen to anyone. I don't want C-sections to exist anymore. Can we just cancel?
But I mean, I'm glad that medicine has come this far to where they're able to do C-sections and both mother and baby are alive.
Girl.
So, listen. And the only reason why I had a C-section was because I'd been in labor so long. I got a fever, and then the baby's heart rate started going up, and they were just like, all right, emergency, got to do this. Because if not, they would have had me still laboring. Continuing.
Listen, I feel like go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, I didn't dilate more than 3 centimeters.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. So honestly, my introduction to motherhood was super, super traumatic.
It just feels like I too would have postpartum depression. Like, it would just be too much for me to look at a reminder of that. Even though I love him so, it'd just be like, okay, listen, what just happened in that room was weird. Okay. That's never happened to me before. Oh, I need a break from you.
Girl, but wait, once the surgery was over, I was taken back to my room. Absolutely nobody was there. Just me and my thoughts. And I'm telling you, his family was there. My family was there, like siblings and sibling spouses were there. So at least my place was deep. At least 14 people outside from Will and I.
Yeah. Were
in there. And then they just pushed my little ass back. And I'm like, where is everybody? I was like, I'm supposed to go to sleep. And I met him the next day, a couple hours later.
It just sounds like a nightmare.
And then when I met him and they rolled me over to him, because I couldn't walk. They didn't want me to walk. So they pushed me. I was like, that's my baby. That's my baby. So, on top of that, they thought I was rejecting Liam because I didn't want him on my chest. And then I'm like, that's my baby. That's the one. Are you sure? Because he was super white. I was like, ain't no way.
Whose goddamn white baby is this? That's what you was how you was treating that baby.
Legit. And then I was like, can you take me back to my room?
Oh my gosh. Listen,
I think I'm not starting block.
I've been known to make up my own theories with absolutely no research or work on my end, just my thoughts and me I'm one of those people that puts 2 and 2 together and be like, that's really a fact. Whatever I just came up with.
Exactly. That is 5. That equals 5.
I'll start by saying I had the opposite experience when I gave birth to Orion. Like, when I tell you the contraction started I think top of the morning. 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. I literally got up. I said, hey, I think the baby coming. To my mama or something. My mama and my older brother, everybody got to screaming. I went to the shower, took a good old shower, lived my life. Having contractions, but, having enough of a good time, not so bad that I could take a shower. got
Take a
dressed
shower,
in my
yeah.
finest. I had like a long maxi dress because this was a ceremony to me. Got to the hospital. Immediately was transported to the bathroom to change into my gown to give birth.
Yeah.
I texted on the way. I forgot to mention this. I texted my homies on the way like showtime, and they knew what it meant. They knew what it was. They already knew where I was giving birth ahead of time. So like my best friends just came to like just watch me give birth. It was given very much Simba in Pride Rock in the first scene of like, Circle of Life. It was very much given that. There were stuffed animals everywhere. Like I was held down by like love and just everything. So then after I'm over here, I think they turned the TV on. I think I was watching like Pokemon or something crazy like that. And my OBGYN walks in looking like she was ready to operate. And I forgot. They gave me my little epidural, child. And immediately, no more contraction pains. So I'm just sitting pretty, joking, kikiing. And then my OB comes back in and she's like, all right, everybody get out. And I was like, hold on, because I was drugged up and I was just going to pinpoint like one person that said they wanted to be there. And she was like, hold on. Okay, everybody can stay then. And I was like, dang, I didn't get 2 seconds to at least say what I had to say. So all my homies literally watched me give birth. Like my water never broke. They broke my water from me. I think I pushed for a good 20 minutes max. And my baby came, like, he just came tumbling out. You know what I'm saying? And, he was a little quiet at first. And then, they smacked his booty or whatever they did. I didn't remember. And he just got to screaming. And my mama got to screaming. She fell out. It was just like
that sounds
a
like
day
you gave birth at 9 a.m. Like all that was done at 9 a.m.
Man, like, yeah, that baby Orion just was like, I'm ready to come out. All right, let mama just do what you got to do, and I'm gonna tear out of here. And he did, and I did tear, and that was probably the most traumatic part of all of it. I think I had got up like 3 hours later. They was like, stop trying to walk, you're numb, and I was like, I can feel this.
Why they always try to do that?
I was like, I feel like I could walk. So I say all of that to say that my theorizing ass feels like I didn't have no kind of postpartum. I feel like it is the hardest, like the harder the delivery is, the more likely you are to have postpartum. And it's not illogical. Like it's just, but maybe, to the millions and millions of women that have had like easy deliveries and still had postpartum. This ain't y'all business, okay? I'm talking to a very specific demographic. Plus, I'm not a scientist, but I just feel like, like if I were you, I would definitely have postpartum depression. That was awful.
For 7 years.
I would just be like, I can't believe that happened to my body. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this.
After birth, they say 6 weeks until you can have relations again. I hold a lot of resentment with my partner at that time because I was becoming a new mom, recovering. Thank God I had my mom. But this fool would be like, so can we, like, the doctor said it was 6 weeks. Can we get it on? And I'm like, bro, I have just finished using that spray bottle thing to clean my vagina. Do you think I want you anywhere near there?
Yeah.
At all. Like, and it was very, very insensitive. So I think that also played a part in my deepening postpartum, because also that individual, like nothing, like it didn't just like, boom, parenthood. That person would still sleep in. Like I would have to wake up, and given it was never like late at night or early in the morning. Thank God, Lord knew that the partner that I had at that time, I had a baby that was waking up every 2 hours, I honestly would have been a statistic at that time.
You would have murdered
because
him
there was
completely.
No, I would have thrown myself off of a bridge.
Oh, you would have killed you.
Yes. I would have been like, I am over this. I am over this. I remember when they told me that babies eat every 2 hours, I was like, who the fuck came up with this? Who? So those rules did not apply into my house, because I was like, there's no way. There is no fucking way that I can do this.
Right.
But yeah, so it is very important. I think it is essential to have a mature partner because I swear to God, that played a part. And then eventually I was just like, it was just so toxic and hard that I was like, fuck this shit. I am choosing to become a single parent. See what I needed to see? And I can't do this. Hell no. So on top of giving birth, having a lax partner, and then becoming a single parent, I was doing all that within the first 3 months.
That man gets
the first 3 months. He showed out. But when we do Father's Day, I'll share a little of his, journey. But in the beginning,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. It's
Lord,
the lag.
I was like, I can't do this. I cannot do this. Like, I think that seriously played a part in me crying, all the fucking time. Just the pressure of being a single parent while in a relationship. That's what I was experiencing.
Yeah, that is a real thing that I think that people are starting to put a label on. I've heard more people acknowledging I divorced my husband or I divorced, my spouse because I was a single parent in a marriage. So I love that people are, like giving that a name or, giving that words, because that is a thing.
Yeah.
But
I'm so glad I realized 3 months in though, because I was like, oh baby, hell no. That was my max.
Yeah. I wanted to switch gears a little bit because I feel like there's a lot to be pulled from a mental health standpoint. You talked about something very important in postpartum depression, but do you think that your childhood, and mind you, this is going back to mothers / mental health. Do you think that your childhood determines certain issues that you may have today mentally? Maybe not you personally, but like in general. Do you think that there's a correlation between childhood, parenting, and kind of maybe mental health issues that you might have today?
I think there can be. Like, I gentle parent, and I give my child a voice because although my parents, they had a democracy / dictatorship at the end of the day. But I definitely do think it plays a part. I don't want to air them out, but they did what they could with what they had, but I'm glad that I'm in the generation to where, yes, we show people that grace and we can acknowledge that, but we're like, we're not fucking doing that just because that was done to us.
Right. Right.
To where I don't want my child to have mental health issues because of me. I've always said I am raising someone that hopefully doesn't have to have therapy because of me.
Sure.
Or go to therapy. But what do you think?
I think that there are certain things like attachment styles that get developed from childhood. I have been playing with this idea that I think that there is a real correlation between narcissism and the way that someone is raised by their 100%. Parents. Yeah, because the way, like, I feel, and mind you, this isn't supposed to be about narcissism, but I know that that's, it's a mental issue and it's just a huge example. I feel like it's so hard to really pinpoint what it is because so many people have kind of gotten their hands on the word, and now it's kind of this bastardized term that means, well, you didn't do something I liked for a long time, so you're a narcissist. But when I look at narcissism and I look at, the lack of empathy, like, because that's kind of the paramount trait of what a narcissist is. If this person's super emotional and, just kind of doesn't know how to express it, I don't believe that that's narcissism. A narcissist does not have like the ability to empathize with others. And to even recognize other people's emotions. Yes, they just can't do that. And the thought of there being parents that would perpetuate that in a child, like, I find that really intriguing. Like, obviously it's not the best, but it's intriguing to me. Like, what do you have to go through as a child in order to just never developed the ability to empathize with others, like to not be able to even have the bandwidth to do so.
Damn, that's deep. I never thought of that.
Yeah. I mean, because I think that some people are born that way, because there are people that are psychopaths, and those people also lack, you know, like a great deal of empathy. But with narcissism, it's almost like, I feel like there's never room for you to even understand your own feelings. Therefore, you cannot understand other people. It's just not a part of who you are. But even like switching gears to how our parents could affect us or whatever, me as a parent, my son, he has really bad anxiety, like I do. And there are times where I'm like disciplining him, or like when I say discipline, I mean like telling him something, you know, teaching him something, grounding him. And I can tell sometimes that when I'm speaking to him, he literally just freezes. Like he can't formulate his words anymore, because I have done something to stress him out big time. Like, and I've had to start to recognize that in my child, like for years, you know, like if I speak in a certain tone to him, it's like he'll admittedly, and I've had to tell him, I'm like, I used to get mad at him because I'm like, you're not paying attention. Like, what's going on? Like, why are you not paying attention when I'm speaking to you? But I had to like ease off and be like, holy crap. Like I am perpetuating and maybe strengthening this anxiety in him. And I'm not helping him cope. I'm more so, you know, making this worse for my child.
Worse.
And I can do that. I'm capable of doing that to him. So we've had to like sit down and really determine together, learn together, because I have terrible anxiety as well, how to like what works for him. Like, how does he cope? You know, and his coping mechanisms are different from mine. He's very much give me 5 minutes, be alone. And he'll just go be alone, and he'll come back and he'll be fine. But I think one of the things that I was never prepared for was that I would be the villain sometimes. Like, and I would truly be the villain, and I would deserve that title, because, you know, it's my job to be able to see if I'm affecting him, and I affect him so much, you know? And, you know, I think that it's important as parents that we know that you're not a bad person. You know, we all make mistakes. We all kind of, you know, cross those boundaries with our kids, but it's okay to be humble enough to really say sorry and to be the bad guy. Like, you can be the bad guy.
That is something that I feel like most old school parents could never imagine doing. Apologizing to your child. You know how many times I've apologized to Liam? I can't even like count.
Yeah.
And you know how you said you and Orion share like anxiety? While you were saying that, I remembered Liam and I share rage.
Not
when he was younger,
diva.
like
we gonna find one for him.
We share rage. When he was younger, he would get so frustrated that he did not know how to express himself. So it would just be rage. Like he would just, I remember one time he bit me. He was like in a stage of biting.
Oh, yeah.
He was in a stage of biting.
Not like yesterday, but like when he was a baby.
No, yeah, when he was a baby. And like a toddler. I wish Liam would bite me now.
I was like,
let me tell you. Let me tell you how he stopped biting. He caught me on a good mental health day. Okay, that I needed a mental health day. It seems like most of my parenting stories happen in HEB. Girl, I was pushing my car in HEB, trying to get my stuff with my baby. He's throwing a full fucking tantrum. And I'm like, oh, we don't do that. But I was trying to gentle parent. He bit me, and my automatic response was to bite him back. Never bit me again.
Wait a minute. So wait, that's
I bit his ass back.
That is not the ending that I thought.
And then as I bit him, I was like, oh my God, I'm in public. And did I really just bite my baby?
I hope the police is not listening.
Child, I bit him with pleasure. Okay? Bit him with pleasure. He got me on the right day, but he never bit me again.
Shawty, I don't know if this is like what we were trying to say, but okay.
but I was just giving an example of like his rage. Like he would just get so angry. So his godmom, she had experienced some rage with her kids. So she would give me these tools. And I was like, okay, clearly me like yelling at him, telling him not to do this, it's not working. And we're both just getting frustrated. And I was like, we have to figure this out. Mm-hmm. So I'm so glad that, you know, I got those tools because I see it now. Mm-hmm. When he's like frustrated or something, or he just wants time to himself, he'll be like, Mom, I just need me time. Like, I'm just going to go chill. Or he can see when I'm flustered and he'll be like, do you need time to yourself? Like, are you okay? Can I do something? And he'll be like, I'm just going to go over here and let you have time to yourself. So I'm so glad to where it's like, he doesn't internalize it. And whenever I do that, I'm like, this has absolutely nothing to do with you. I'm just frustrated, or vice versa. So I look back and I'm like, dang, I could have never told my parents, hey, I need a moment. I need a moment right here. Because they would have wanted to address it right then and there. How dare you tell me when we're going to talk?
Yeah.
Exactly. No, we're doing it now because I'm trying to discipline you now.
But you see,
not realizing that you're not making a safe space, or you're also not giving your child autonomy. Like you're not having them exercise that, you know? So yeah, that's what I feel like. Liam and I shared rage.
But I think that the big picture in that is beautiful. It's you've created a legacy for your parents. Like you can see the, not the decline, but the evolution of what is happening here. The fact that your child could take the tools that you taught him and then give them to you when you need them. That is, that's what it's all about. Because then if your child is helping you in that way, then you know the child is going to help their children and they're going to be, you know, and it's just going to create a bigger legacy. Like I remember like a similar story. I was struggling because as I've stated previously on this podcast, I don't have a close connection with my family. And I remember I was preparing. Mother's Day has always been a period of like just not the best holiday, just because I get really stressed out because of it. But I remember one time I had plans to, you know, have lunch with my mom. I was going to kind of order some takeout and have it prepared to the house. Things didn't work out. And besides that, there's always an inherent stress. So my son notices as I'm getting ready, like, are you okay? Flustered. Like, are you mad about something? And you made a good point earlier. Kids always think it's about them. Like, it's kind of their nature to think that whatever is happening is about them. So him asking me if I was mad, I felt like I really needed to be transparent and like not even care. I'm like, honestly, my relationship with my mom stresses me out. And it has nothing to do with you at all. I would rather him know about my issues with my mom than him feel like it's about him.
Yes.
And I was like, I get stressed out. I feel X, Y, and Z. And I remember he stopped and he was like, I understand. Like, it's stressful. And he's like, tell me one thing or tell me two things that you're stressed out about right now. And then he was like, therapist. Then tell me two things that you're excited about right now. Yeah. So like, just, you know, whatever you're going to do, you know, I'm here for you. And it's, you know, there's things to be excited about, but I understand what you're stressed out about as well. I don't think I've ever done an exercise with him like that before. Like we've done other things, but it's the fact that he has the mind to, you know, seek other tactics on his own, you know, and literally like, you know that he does that for himself. And when no one is like, no one is around or, you know, when he's on his own, like he's adopting tactics that not even I've taught him. And that is
that are healthy.
beautiful. Yeah. And that were helpful to me.
Do you think I'm seeing a pattern based off of like severed communication between parent and child? Do you think that plays an effect on mental health?
Oh man. Girl, I don't even want to tell no stories, because communication is the way that the brain translates its thoughts. Like, that's the way that the brain is able to recall things. That's the way that you're able to realize things in one way or another. Like, if you were to be in a room and you didn't talk to anybody for years, like, there would be some form of brain, there would be some alteration to your brain and your processing of information in general. So I feel like people that were allowed to have open communication were able to open up different pathways of learning, whether it's, to or from. So it increases your ability to just, it just increases your knowledge in general, which obviously like increases your ability to cope because you have more knowledge of how to do so. I feel like, and knowing more things, like it creates, I'm not going to say that it creates like a dopamine release, but whenever you feel like you're understanding something or you've gotten it, like, the pleasure principle thing, like there's just more positivity that comes from being able to have healthy communication. Healthy being
because I do think of being with like, West Indian background, Jamaican background, kids are to be seen, not heard.
Yeah.
And that, I know I struggled a lot with my parents in that. And I guess that's where my rage came from. It's just a rage, because I'd be like, I want to tell you this. I have an opinion. You should want to know my opinion. Like, I never understood why. And even like up to this day, like there's some stuff that my parents do not agree about.
Sure.
But I think I'm kind of like hippie-ish. I may not agree with somebody, but I'm not going to like shit on your beliefs and try to sway you my way. Yeah. And that's just not the case at times. And it's just like, I feel like if you have an open mind, hey, you may learn something. And I always want to have that with my child. Like, I never want to be old school. Never want my child to refer to me as being old school, because that means that I'm never evolving. Yeah. And I think I would like my mental health to evolve. So therefore, that's why I'm in therapy. I think therapy is good for everybody, but specifically moms, because especially first-time moms, I think that should be a requirement. First-time moms, you need a therapist. Good drugs. Good drugs to recalibrate, like, it's just wild. That's just my experience. I feel like if they're asking me, hey, how would, after birth package, they should put that in there. Like 6 months of therapy.
And you bring up the best point. I'm so glad that this conversation is progressing how it is, because you don't know what you don't know. Period. And that's another power of communication. You can communicate within yourself all day and think that you're resolving something, but you're really just recycling, information and notions and fallacies and trauma. Like you're really speaking out of your own, like your own thoughts.
And some trauma may not even be yours. It's generational.
Yeah. And I feel like I tell this, and I have tried, like I made a promise to myself that I'm going to try my very best, unless it's absolutely necessary and edifying to me, to not just air my parents out. But like, my parents to me are the ultimate example of what a lack of like just healthy communication can really do, what it can really create in a person or in people. I feel like both of them have very, it's very hard to continue to grow, because they both don't believe in things like therapy. They both don't believe in, having open communication where everyone kind of has an input or, an opinion, and we all just kind of put it all at the table and figure it out together. There's a lot of restrictions when it comes to thoughts and when it comes to solutioning with those thoughts, right? And it is just done for. Like, it is, you see, like, I have seen, and it is a cautionary tale to me, and it was a cautionary tale back then when I had my son 13 years ago, that I do not in any way, shape, or form, I don't know how I'm going to be a parent. I don't know how to be a mom, but I know that whatever happens, we cannot be in this place where what my son says affects me to the point of which he needs to stop saying whatever he feels. Like, it cannot be about me. And I feel like it becomes very personal when people say things to you when you just do not leave yourself open through communication and through honesty to deal with your trauma and to deal with whatever it is you've dealt with and to really heal your inner child. Like, it is a must. It is only a child, really, the child aspect of us, that is a bleeding heart anytime anyone says anything. It always has to be directed to us. It requires an emotional response from us. Like, it has to do with us. I said I wasn't going to air nobody out, but I feel like it's important. This is an important example. So I recently had a conversation with my dad, with both of my parents, actually, literally like a weekend ago. For people that don't know, and trigger warning, I guess, I was sexually assaulted about 1.5 years ago. And there were some things that were happening at my place. Nothing, of course, that was close to sexual assault or anything like that. Nothing dangerous, but some things that were being just said, perpetuated, that were really triggering to me, right? And so I disclosed this information to my dad, that I was sexually assaulted. And the only reason I would ever do that, it's a landmine. Like, it's a dangerous thing to even tell him something that sensitive. But I would tell him in person. There were certain things that he was doing. I would politely be like, hey, could you stop, and it would never be received well. So I went home that night and I felt really uneasy. And I felt like I needed to just let him know that it's not that I'm accusing you of anything. It's just that you don't know this information, so you don't quite know the background of why I would be triggered by X, Y, and Z. So I shouldn't even have to say all of that, but that's kind of where things lie, with our old school parents. And my dad, I saw him another time shortly after sending him that text. A few days later, he legitimately got in my face, pregnant at all, and was screaming at the top of his lungs, like screaming at me, that how insulting it was for me to tell him that stuff that had happened to me, and for me to request, like, hey, I just want you to know how much this stuff affects me when you do X, Y, and Z. Please stop. It makes me uncomfortable. He literally could not hear what was happening because of the undealt with trauma that he has. Whatever it is, he just couldn't hear it. I couldn't tell him these things. I couldn't tell him that. Nothing kicked in with him that said, oh my God, I can't believe, first of all, this is really awful that happened. It was just this.
And it's not about you.
He literally disowned me. Like, I was disowned like last weekend by my dad because I disclosed that this happened to me. And I have to kind of carry that because my son loves my parents. They're great to him. And it's like that I've been stuck in this weird place where I'm like, how do I move forward? Because the part of me that is an extension of my parents knows that for my sake and for my healing, because we're always healing, that I need separation and I need space before that big blowout happened. But my son doesn't, because my son has not experienced the trauma that I did. So it feels strange to me to feel like I'm in this place where I'm depriving my son of his grandparents, or something that I do or something about me is depriving him of those relationships. But I'm trying to figure out, you know, because it's been made clear at this point that there's no way to create boundaries around, you know, communication and such. There's just no way. And for my own good, for me to continue to create a better legacy for my children, I just don't, like, I'm at this crossroad. And that is like, that's what unhealed trauma and untapped into, like, mental health, that's what it looks like. That's what it does. Like, the stuff that we, Shani and I, the stuff that we don't tap into, and maybe we just neglect or we don't realize it. Hopefully it's not like to that extreme. That is going to affect their entire lives, our children's, you know? So it's important, you know, and I said, I swear, like, I was not wanting to share this story, but, like, honestly,
that is important. Yeah. People have to realize you have to unpack your shit, because it's just going to be generational.
Yeah.
And I too have seen it. Like, when I said rage, that's generational.
Yeah.
I've heard stories from my, like, paternal great grandfather that he had a temper on him. Mm-hmm. Like, you knew what he said was law, and that was it. There was no, maybe, can you see it this way? No, what he said, that was it. And then I see his offsprings have the same things. And then the next generation, some of them do have anger issues as well. Yeah. So it's like, okay, do I want to continue saying, oh, yeah, I have anger issues? Or am I going to do something about it to where I'm like, okay, it stops here? Because I don't want my child to be like, I have anger issues. And honestly, I realized, I was like, I got to do this because I don't want my child to have to call me from jail because they whooped somebody's ass because they couldn't control their emotions.
But it's also
they were so pent up.
But it's also that he's going to know that he has anger issues. Some things are just nature. Some things are not all nurture. Exactly. So it's about the knowing, because you went and got help and you can identify that these are the things that are happening, so that when your child is going through these things, he's not going through them alone. It's very clear that both of my parents have anxiety real bad. I've struggled with anxiety since I was a child, but I didn't know what it was, you know, and nobody really knew what was going on. But my child knows what anxiety is, you know, since he was little, because I'm like, okay, we're going to figure this out. He even goes to the counselor sometimes at school, and he'll, like, just he'll just go talk about his life. Hopefully he ain't telling them my business, but, like, I feel like he would.
Breaking news. Your business ain't your business with kids. They are the Daily Herald, baby. Okay.
But you're doing it, girl. Like, you're doing it. You're breaking generational curses. You know what I'm saying? Even being able, you can't heal everything out of your child. You can't prevent everything from your child, but you can give it a name. And with a name, there's treatments. There's this, there's that.
Yes.
You know? That's it. I love that.
I love that we are able to be vulnerable with our children, because that's the big thing. Like, to me, with my parents, there was something major that happened when I was 19 or 20, something around that, to where my father became human to me. Okay. Like, he became human in the sense of, I was like, oh shit, like, he fucks up. Yeah. He fucks up too. Like, he has his own shit. And I don't want to wait until my son is an adult to be like, oh my God, my mom, life happens to her too. Like, I don't want him to think that I am a superhero. And I feel like with other people, I was talking to a friend a couple of weeks ago, circling back, and, I'm talking about from like single parenthood. But I was like, I think I've done a disservice to people by making them think that this shit is easy.
Yeah.
I make it look easy. Mm-hmm. And that's why people just find it so wild when I tell them that I have bipolar depression. They're like, you? How can you possibly have that? You do X, Y, and Z. But I'm like, you don't see like when I'm super, super anxious and I'm having a manic episode that I'm like hyper cleaning and things like that. You don't see that. You don't see the opposite side when I'm in bed just crying, just bawling my eyes out. But I make it look easy, and I'm going to stop making it look easy because somebody out there is probably looking at me and being like, there's no way. She doesn't struggle at all.
Why did you feel the need to make it look easy? Was it intentional?
Yeah, I feel like crying.
Cry, girl. You made me cry. Payback.
I know, right? 30s have made me cry.
Just kidding.
I guess I made it look easy because I had a child out of wedlock. Mm-hmm. And then I decided to leave him at 3 months. So I was like, I have no option but to succeed because I don't want to be a statistic. Mm-hmm. So with all that, I guess unconsciously, I forced myself to make it look easy, but it's not, especially when he was coming up. I think back and I'm like, God was really with me because I was making $14 an hour.
Oh, yeah.
By myself.
Yeah.
$14 an hour.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
That's a stressor alone. Like, that affected my fucking mental health.
Let's talk about that, girl.
Making $14 an hour, having to buy formula, support myself. That when my son was 9 months old, I was fired. The first time I had ever been fired in my life.
Yeah.
Lost my job. Had to move in with my parents for 6 months. Like, my dick was in the dirt. My metaphorical
Never
dick
heard that before.
was in. It was down in the dirt. Okay.
What was it doing? I'm sorry. Your dick was in the dirt, girl. What was it doing?
It wasn't getting up at that time.
Oh goodness.
That's when I learned. I was like, you can't be prideful and be a mom. You can't. Those two things don't go. And now I look back and I'm just like, thank God I'm a hustler and I have amazing parents that they definitely did help me. But not only that, I have a mother that prays for me like no other person. She might have not known all the struggles that I was going through during that season in my life, but her prayers, seriously, till this day, carry me through. Mm-hmm. I don't know where I would be. And my girlfriends, I have no idea. But I honestly need to stop making it look easy. Because today sometimes is not easy. It's not, especially with fucking inflation.
Yeah.
It's not.
Honestly, like, just hearing that, I don't think I knew all the details. I mean, shit, motherhood is hard, especially when you're, starting to mother in your 20s, single. I didn't know that half of those things happen. Honestly, like, I don't understand how it works. I was in a similar place, but I really, I lived with my mom for the first, I think, year or two of Orion's life, or three of Orion's life. So I didn't deal with that. I didn't deal with any of those struggles. I will thank them because I did have that support. Like, I was spoiled. Yeah. I was a baby when that baby was born. I had time to build myself up, get back to school and get my degree and such. But the fact that you were working, you were independent, buying Similac? Like you was like working and Similac, girl. You was doing it by yourself.
I'm telling you. When I moved to Killeen, I always call Killeen my desert because it was a place of development for me. Yeah. After I only stayed with my parents for 6 months. And after that, I was like, I have to go because y'all are going to stunt me. I have to go. My mom did not want me to leave, but I was like, and I still had a curfew. So I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing this. So I had a 10 o'clock curfew and I had a whole baby. So I was like, no. So I ended up leaving. At that point in time, I was not getting any financial help from the other party. And I do recall, like, there was this one time that I was just trying to make it childcare. I had I brought somebody over from Panama. Mind you, making $14 an hour.
I was like, what?
Making $14 an hour. I had somebody that was supposed to help me. I was going to pay them $400 a month. Yeah, a month. That's all I could afford. But I was like, I was going to do that. 2 weeks after bringing this individual over, my nanny got snatched. So I was like back at square one. I won't go into too much details about that because it's a relative and my mama gonna kill me if I talk about this relative.
Oh my goodness.
But 2 weeks into that, so I was like, again, dick in the dirt. So I just want to give y'all a whole recap as to why now I'm like, yeah, I can see how postpartum lasts 7 months because I kept having traumatizing events throughout my entire process of just trying to be a parent and worry about someone else other than myself. So,
girl.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
I'm so sorry.
So anybody out there listening, I see you. Girl, I know about a pillow being soaked because you're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do this? And I got to go to work and pretend like shit isn't falling apart. Like, it's like that meme, you know, with the house is on fire and the little girl's just
I know
like
exactly.
This.
Yeah.
I got to pretend that shit is not happening and just be like, okay. But I'm thankful for it because now, shoot, not a lot can shake me. Not too much can. So I'm like, I've been there, done that, got a t-shirt, went back for another tour. Yeah. So.
Girl.
Oh, man. That was good. That was good for the soul.
All right. I think that's it. I think we've shared enough.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and conclude with that. Guys, you know where to find us. If you don't, or if you happen to have forgotten, I don't know how you would, but you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. Feel free to tag your mom, not Keisha's mom.
Please not.
But any of your girlfriends that are moms, feel free to tag them because this is a Mother's Day special. And we want to make sure that, you know, this reaches who it needs to reach. And don't forget to subscribe or else.
I said what I said, okay?
I said. Oh.